Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks still, right? It's we're still here. The world is still turning. I wanted to see if I could cue up the Undertaker theme song to bring us into this episode. Um, but I couldn't get it in time, and then obviously YouTube has infraction rules that are stupid and all that stuff. But yeah, this is our first episode post election, right? We did two last Sunday prior to the election, right? One of them was pretty politic focused with Chris. Um so you know, obviously Trump won, right? Here we are a week later now, almost. When this comes out, it'll be 6 days later. Um the world's still turning, which is interesting because a lot of people told us that if Trump won, that was it. That was the end.
What I'm hoping it was the end um of everything. Just like the earth would like implode or something.
Would have been nice, right?
Would have been. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because we've said it a lot, like everything's so my team, your team, my guy, your guy, whatever,
Yep.
that people can't think straight.
Yeah.
And it's it's also one of those things with like everything. It's like, oh well, our democracy's at stake. And it's like, you've said that about both sides.
Yeah.
And how?
Yeah.
Also, if we got through this, was it Andrew Jackson? Was he the one that? No, it must have been Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson was like the shittiest president ever. And it's like back in a time where it's like the
Yeah.
country could have fucking collapsed. And it's like, if we got through that,
Yeah. Yeah. I think was Andrew Johnson after Lincoln? Was
I don't
he
know. Who's
Lincoln?
the,
He might have been
no,
Lincoln's vice
I got to look
president
up who the one.
who
See,
took
I always get
over.
fucked up because I think, because in my head, I think it might, who's on the $20 bill?
Andrew Jackson is on the 20.
And he has like memorials and shit
Yeah, so Andrew Johnson is the
in
one that
New Orleans.
he was Lincoln's vice president, so he became president when Lincoln was assassinated.
Yeah, but like wasn't the problem like he had no fucking idea what he was doing
Yeah, he was
and
clueless. He got
he brought all
impeached.
his buddies in,
Yeah,
like
basically.
made his cabinet like all that and it's like um was that Andrew Johnson?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So I'm also like quickly ripping through his Wikipedia. So at a time where the standing president gets assassinated.
Hmm.
This guy just gets inserted at a time where um, slavery is a hot button issue, secession is a hot button issue.
Yep.
I mean, it eventually leads to was Lincoln alive before or after the Civil War? Probably
I think during.
after. He was assassinated during.
Oh, when he was assassinated, he was alive during it.
Well,
But
because he gave the Gettysburg Address and all that crap, right?
yeah. So the Civil War ended May 26th, 1865, and Lincoln was assassinated April 14th, 1865. So he was assassinated before the end of the war. It was
So
a month after he Lincoln was killed, they ended the Civil War.
so this guy gets put in as the president literally when the country is actually divided, not just like
Yeah, quite literally. Yeah.
I mean quite literally divided. Like there was a like
There's
states seceded from the
an
Union.
active civil war going on. Yeah.
And he was responsible for Reconstruction.
Yeah.
If we got through that, because the other part is if I'm thinking of the right one, I don't think it was Jackson because I don't think he'd be on the $20 bill if he was that bad. But again, he put his buddies in the cabinet, so it's like no one had any fucking idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
Just to like paraphrase it without an actual like political history background there.
Yeah,
This was just a fucking election. That's it.
that's all it was.
And
Just a regular old
the
election.
thing that I don't understand too is it's like you don't have to like the guy, but he was already president for 4 years. You
Yeah,
know what you're gonna get with him.
yeah.
And everyone was saying the same shit in 2016, like, oh my God, like women don't have any more rights. They're not gonna be able to vote.
Yeah, that was
And
the
it's
first thing
like
we said on Wednesday morning when we woke up. There was, I think it was you, texted the group and was like, "Oh, do women not have rights now? All of a sudden, like have the
like
women's rights magically disappeared?"
and they said that shit in 2016 too.
Yeah,
At least back then, it's like I still think it's a bad take, but
but
a retarded take.
it was an
But at least you
allowed
didn't know
argument
what
because you
this
didn't
guy was
know.
coming to. Like,
Yeah, he
you
was
know
an unknown.
exactly what this guy's gonna do. He's already done it.
Yeah,
And yeah,
it,
there's a little bit more of a mess to clean up this time, in my opinion.
yeah, I would agree.
Like, but like, why are you people repeating yourselves again? And the thing with Trump, you don't have to like the guy. You do not have to like the person. But when he was in office, everything he said, he pretty much did.
Yeah,
And then he did some stuff that he didn't say either. But if he said something like, I mean, meaningful, not just
right.
like I don't know what I don't even know. Like this is the thing, I don't pay enough attention to him to know. But if he ever said something like, we'll never have another illegal immigrant in here again," it's like, well, that's not possible. But
Right.
um, most of the time, when it came to like an actual policy or an actual political stance, most of the time, he pretty much just kind of did what he said he would do.
Yeah, for the most part, I would agree with that.
And if you listen to him, because the hot button issue, like anyone who thinks he's going to take away women's right to vote is fucking retarded. Like, I'm sorry.
It's so
That is
stupid.
fucking so stupid. I got no fucking rebuttal to that. But everyone thinks it's like, oh, he's going to put in a national abortion ban. Why do you think that?
Yeah,
What makes you think that?
because that's
Because,
what the media says. That's what the news
and,
says.
but if you go to the guy's words, which
Oh yeah.
this guy has been very forthcoming with everything, like, Mark Cuban probably has low club head speed, and Kamala Harris probably has a low IQ. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to like what he said, but generally, when he says something, he does it.
Right.
Usually,
Right.
like most of the time. All he
He's been
wants to
on
do is
record multiple
he
times
just wants to
saying it's a
keep
states'
abortion in the
rights.
states.
Yeah.
He just wants to keep it in the states, which that's a Republican ideal.
Yeah.
That's a conservative ideal. And that's what a lot of people should want. You should want to be represented by the state you live in.
Right.
Now, I
I think we
understand
learned a
now,
lot
like,
about that during COVID, right? Like I think we learned a lot of how much more we talked about it on the show at the time, how much more importance your local government is, whether it's, actual local like mayor, town council, whatever you have, um, and versus like, your governor, than it is the president. Like the people that have the effect on your day-to-day life are your, again, mayor, um, state representative, you know, county commissioner, whatever the fuck it is. Like those are the people that make the decisions that affect you on a local level, which is every day, right? Like the federal government doesn't really, yeah, I mean, to say it has no effect on your life obviously is incorrect and it's hyperbole, but it has very little effect, right? Like the federal government has very little effect on your day-to-day life as an average person in the US, right? Now, if you're,
yeah, if you're military
yeah, or if you're
or a
like an
federal
important person,
employee,
if you're high up in like a corporation, right? Like if you're a CFO of JP Morgan, right? Like it's probably has a little bit more effect on you, right? Because you're pretty high up in a massive, financial institution or whatever. Like guys at Boeing or guys at, General Dynamics, like all those things, like yeah, then the federal government probably has a little bit more impact on you than me, but the average American, federal government doesn't have that big of an impact on my everyday life, nor should it. Right? Like,
and even with Trump though, again, like if you go back to his words, because then what some people say is like, well, the one issue with all this stuff is, it doesn't account for like the exceptions, right? And it's like Trump has said, he goes, I still believe in the three exceptions: rape, incest, and health
Yeah.
of the mother. He's like, I just don't think that you should be able to have one in the seventh, eighth, ninth month.
Right.
Like,
Right.
the fuck is wrong with that?
Yeah.
But again,
Totally.
I just, and it's, you know what? It's like one of those things, like, you can't win the argument because I think that most of the time, to be fair, like, abortion doesn't affect me directly, like,
Yeah.
because obviously I'm not a woman, like, very
Right.
simple.
Right. Wow.
Um,
Are you sure? Although we might be getting rid of that.
woman. Um, have you been drinking, Mr. Hurley? Um, so, like, yes, as directly, like, despite what some people will try to tell you, I cannot have an abortion. So it's like, they're direct, can't do much to me. So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in favor of it just kind of like being a state issue. Because then on like the broader scale, it's like what happens in Georgia shouldn't happen or shouldn't affect up here. So it's like,
Exactly.
but some people are like, no, if because those states like Tennessee won't do what they're supposed to do, and it's like, sorry, that's an issue with Tennessee.
Right.
Like,
Vote
and
for better local
some people won't.
representation.
And this is the thing though,
Vote
some
for a
people won't
different
agree,
governor.
and some people won't agree with that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that like I'm right or wrong. It doesn't mean the other person's right or wrong.
I think I'm totally pulling this out of my ass, but I think there were 12 states, that number sounds right, that had some sort of abortion referendum on their ballot this November. I think all 12 of them passed in favor of abortion
Yes, like in some capacity.
in some capacity, right? Like I
In
think
some
Florida
capacity.
had one. Like Florida was like, yeah, no, you can get an abortion up to whatever date it was. Like I don't know the
Yeah.
specific of what the date was, but I think it was 12 states had something on their ballot this fall, and all 12 voted in favor of that. It's what happens all the time. Tennessee is literally like one of three states in the entire country that's trying to put like an epic shutdown on it, right? Like even
Yeah.
Ohio, because Ohio had it in the 2022 election, and everyone was like, "Oh man, it's Ohio. They're gonna vote to ban." Everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be banned in Ohio. Woe is me. Women's rights. All this." What happened? They voted to pass it, and everyone was blown away. That was in the news. They're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe Ohio voted to allow abortion." Although we didn't see that coming at all. Let's say, because you guys don't fucking pay attention to anything. Like, I think it's 84% of the country believes that women should be able to get an abortion up to like 12 weeks or something like that, whatever the number is. But it's like, yeah, 84% of the country is like, yeah, do whatever you want, but up to a certain point,
Yeah.
right? So that
And in
means there's
some, and that's
16%
the other
that's
thing.
like absolutely not.
Right. And those are the people that probably look at it like, importance in my life is God. Then there's like a steep drop off. Then it's like family in Texas.
Yeah.
And like though that's like in order of importance in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which those people, you're not going to change their mind.
No, you're not. So the interesting thing to me right now, that obviously nothing has changed and everything the mainstream media was talking about um, was a lie, right? I think we can just say it was a flat out lie, right? I try to switch to call them legacy media more because they're not mainstream anymore either. They're losing to podcasts and Twitter. But legacy media flat out lied, right? Like that's the only way to say it. So beyond that, what I think is really interesting is in a time where everyone was quote unquote voting to save democracy, right? Like all this, whatever. Donald Trump absolutely fucking crushed. He crushed in the polls. I have a thing open right now that I'm looking at, and it says per data from the Associated Press, right? The AP Votecast, their post-election survey, Harris did not gain on Biden's performance with a single major ethnic, education, age, or gender demographic, which means that not a single demographic of person increased their support from Biden to Harris. They either stayed the same or got worse. And the only demographics that did not shift at all were women over 65 who stayed Democrat plus 6, right? So from 2020 to 2024, women over 65 remained D plus 6. And then white people who remained Republican plus 12. So from 20 to 24, those two demos stayed exactly the same. Everything else shifted towards Trump.
And the funniest thing about that is a lot of people still voted for Harris as an anti-Trump vote.
Right. Right.
If they ran a competent person,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it would have been, was it Reagan over?
Mondale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably wouldn't have been that.
I think Massachusetts was the only state that voted for Mondale. Or was that Dukakis? Was that the
That
Dukakis
was
year?
Dukakis. So they definitely voted for Dukakis,
Yeah.
but I don't know that Mondale,
Was
that
it
was bad,
Nixon?
dude.
No, it was Nixon
Oh, it
Mondale.
was Nixon
It was
Mondale.
Reagan Dukakis. Reagan smoked Dukakis. But I think when Nixon won, there was only two states because I think Mondale only got 17 electoral votes.
It was something. It was, dude. It was bad.
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, Dukakis also got shellacked by
he got
Reagan.
drilled,
Yeah. But it wasn't as
but
bad as Mondale.
no. Yeah. So it wouldn't have been like that because again, it's still too polarizing in 2024. But
Right.
again, a lot of people were just like, I might not like Harris, but how do you vote for that guy?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
JD Vance was the candidate. Like if it was JD Vance
yeah,
against Harris, it would
I
have
think if it was
been
anybody,
it would have been Reagan Mondale, right? Or Reagan Dukakis, whatever I said, Nixon Mondale. Like it would have been that level.
yeah. Again, I still don't think I don't think we can ever get like that again.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think people are
Because
too
back then
entrenched.
Reagan was still getting California, so it's like someone automatically
True.
gets 55 now.
Right.
And then whatever New York and Massachusetts are. I mean, we're 11, so 66 and what's New York 20?
Yeah, I think
Don't
maybe it
we
might
already
be like
did this. We already
27.
fucking did this. We're not
Yeah.
doing this again.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I
I got
mean
the
like
numbers here too, real
you
quick.
automatically get like 100 now. It's like
Right.
signing your name on the SAT.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, just for showing up, you get 100. Um, so black people went from Democrats plus 83 to plus 68. So Trump gained like 20 points with black people. Latinos went from Dem plus 28 to plus 15. And then other, the racial group, went from Democrat plus 19 to plus 3. Now, this is the other interesting part. And I said this. I said this on our episode with Chris. I said the only prediction that I'll make is if Trump wins, I think he crushes in the younger demo. And men under the age of 30. Now, this is from 2020. So, from the Biden election to Trump, men under the age of 30 went from Democrat plus 15 to Republican plus 13. That's a 30-point swing towards Donald Trump. Men under the age of 30. So young men won Donald Trump this election, basically. So not to pat myself on the back here, but, give myself a nice little pat. That he absolutely crushed in men under the age of 30.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that you can hope for is that the Democratic Party looks at this stuff and then adjusts accordingly.
Yeah. So the
Like
other
someone,
thing, women under 30 went from Democrat plus 32 to plus 18.
yeah.
So Trump even gained what, 16 points with women under 30. So like everyone under 30 went towards Trump, but men under 30 fucking frolicked.
So, and then this is kind of like the point where the Democratic Party needs to like look at these things
Yeah.
and realize, and it's someone else mentioned, someone sent it in our group chat, whatever. Like someone has to look at it. It's like, when you call like the Latino group like Latinx,
Yeah.
Latinx,
Yeah.
they don't fucking like that.
Right.
They want to be who the fuck they are.
Right.
Like when you tell people, it's like, oh, well, you have to call all these people they, them, or fucking Z Zim, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
It's like people don't like that.
People don't like being told what to do.
No. So it's like the Democratic Party is going to have to chill out on this
Yeah.
stuff. And they also need to chill out on like this woman candidate, whatever, because they've gotten shelled both times that they just trotted a woman out there.
Yeah.
Because this is opinion. Most women don't like other women.
Yeah.
So if you just trot out a fucking idiot like Harris or a fucking cunt like Hillary,
Yeah.
why would the fucking women vote for them? Anyone with a fucking brain. And now I know I'm being insulting, like, oh, well, like, oh, Trump. Like, okay, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
but you just saw it.
Yeah.
They didn't vote for her like they voted for Biden.
Right.
That was an anti-Trump vote too. Like, you can't just trot out someone to check boxes. The American people have spoke for this election. They don't fucking care.
Yeah.
They don't
They
care about
see
your
right through
fucking,
it.
yeah. She was a bad candidate.
Yeah.
And like I didn't want to like, get too far into this before the election because truthfully I didn't know how far that anti-Trump vote was really going to go. Like I
Yeah.
knew I knew that it wasn't her that they were voting for because she's an
Right.
idiot. Like anyone can see that.
For sure. Yeah.
But I didn't know how strong people were against him.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
And we saw it because I mean again that was my feeling the whole time was she is the wrong fucking candidate. And I think people are sick of the bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the legacy media through the entire thing was saying, oh, it's close. It's neck and neck. Oh, it's a 50-50 chance.
Wasn't even
It's,
close.
dude, it wasn't even fucking close. It wasn't even Fox News, though. That's the other thing. Even Fox News with the right wing slant was like, oh, it's close. It's going to be close. Like, no one's really running away with it. Like everyone got it wrong. Everyone in legacy media got it way wrong.
Yeah. And I mean, like there is also an element too where no one wants to go out there and say, like, I don't even think this is going to be a fair fight.
Yeah.
But because the thing, everything gets everywhere. Like back in the day, it's like if you don't watch Fox News, you don't know what Fox News has to say.
Right. Right.
Now you know everything.
Right.
Um, so yeah, it's like, but again, it's also supposed to be compelling. Like they're like the news is entertainment, right? Or now it is, but
Now it is. Yeah.
you can't
Unfortunately.
just be you can't be on the Democratic side and be like, yeah, we're gonna get drilled.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's not looking good.
Yeah, it's like I don't see how Harris does this.
Yeah.
Like you have to talk about something.
Yeah. Well, the hilarious thing too is once everyone realized that she was going to get shelled, they immediately turned on Biden. So now, because that's the thing, right? And this is what you had mentioned, right? That I think I was the one that put that in the Twitter chat about the Latinx stuff, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah, someone commented on it, but yeah,
because the Democratic Party doesn't have the ability, at least right now, to sit there and self-reflect and say, where did we go wrong? Right. And then you see all the memes, right? Where it's like, oh, like I think it's Millhouse, like the top bottom split of Millhouse. And the top one is oh, like what do I need to do better for the next one? And then the bottom split is no, I didn't do anything wrong. It's the Hispanics and the blacks that are racist now or something like that. Like they're just like the memes are just going crazy because the Democratic Party, again, at least right now, is sitting here being like, well, yeah, I mean, it's the Hispanic vote that lost it. Like it's their fault, right? Like I don't know why they would ever want to vote for this guy. And like we said, it's because they don't want to be called Latinx, right? They don't want to be treated differently. They just wanted to be treated as equals, right?
Well, the other thing too is it's like when you say like, oh, come on, Kamala Harris is going to be the first black woman president, and then black people go, she ain't black.
Yeah, yeah,
Stop telling us that. Like that, like
yeah,
that's the shit that like they fucked this whole thing up.
right.
Because it's like, oh, it's a African American president. Nope, she is not.
Trump did a little bit of that back, like when they first nominated her over Biden. He pulled up like headlines from when she got to the Senate and they called her Indian American. She was like, "Oh, an Indian American woman, like, joins the Senate, like all this, like all there was like so many
Yeah,
headlines calling her Indian American." And then as soon as she gets nominated as a president, she's a black woman.
and she's not. So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
because it's Caribbean and Indian, right? That's her heritage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like white people keep and like again the white people can't be me.
Yeah.
You've created this
Yeah.
because you think you know what's best, and you don't because you don't ask black people what they want. This goes back to the riots. What do
Yeah.
you want? We just don't want cops to shoot us in the streets anymore.
All
Cut
right,
it.
got it.
Uncle Ben, see you later.
Aunt Jemima. See you later. Off the
Gone.
ball.
And it's like,
Which is, I saw something really hilarious on Twitter. Someone tweeted out and goes, maybe now they'll put Aunt Jemima back on the bottle.
like it's and I didn't know this, so it's like I know like once upon a time, like, hey, the Republicans were the party of like personal responsibility, right? Like
Right, right.
I'll handle my affairs, like you stay out,
Yeah.
like
Oh, pull
just let
yourself up by your bootstraps.
right, let me do my thing. I
Yeah.
didn't know that like the Democrat reputation from back in the day was like the party of common sense or something.
Yeah.
And
It was the People's Party.
how far have we fucking fallen from
Yeah.
that?
I think Bernie Sanders absolutely nailed it. Um, because I forget exactly what his quote was, but he said he's been shredding the Democrats. He said, how can you sit there as a party that left behind the working class voters and be surprised that the working class voters left you and no longer support you?
It's really not that hard to fucking figure out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Bernie has been great during this whole time. Like he's just been letting loose, being like, this is unbelievable. He goes, the Democratic Party is just, full of shit. It's all like, they're all elitists. They care about
If
themselves
people
and
don't
no one
start saying
else.
that shit, then they can't change.
Right, right.
And
Which is
like again,
hilarious because Bernie was only a Democrat for like a hot second. He's always been an independent.
yeah. Oh, and even from a guy who doesn't vote or hasn't voted voted
Bow tie?
yet to a Vitten. Um, like I want both parties to not be fucking idiots.
Yeah,
It's good for the country if that's the case. 'Cause it's
correct.
gonna
Yeah,
force
it's
everyone to do
competition.
better. Well, that's the thing. It's gonna
Competition is good.
force each candidate or each party to be better.
Right. Agreed.
Like the Republicans are gonna look at it and be like, listen, our guy's gone. Like we don't have the rallying cry behind this guy anymore. So it's like we need to put out somebody good and
Right.
we need to market that person well. Like he can't run anymore. Like that's a fact. Like so all of those like real die hard like it's not there. So you
Right.
don't have the guy anymore. Now you need to actually put forth something good. And then if the Democrats just trot out the same old shit, they're gonna get fucking shelled again. Like that will not change.
No, you're just going to keep getting the same result if you
So
don't change anything.
that's the thing is like hopefully someone in that party like has some common sense to say, let's look at what we're doing and like let's fucking get back to something a little bit less dumb.
Yeah.
Let's put our priorities into other things.
So I'm trying to find this. That I saw, I think it was on Instagram. I thought I might have sent it to Vinny, but I can't find it on Instagram. But I'm just gonna have to guess and do my best. So I thought this was really, really funny, right? Because Orange Man equals bad and Trump's a misogynist, right? And he hates women and he's gonna end women's rights and everyone needs to cry if you're a woman because your life is over. What did he do the day after he got elected? He
No clue.
named for the first time in the history of the in the 250 years in the of this country, he named the first female chief of staff to his White House. But yeah, he hates women and he's going to take away
Hates
all
him.
their rights.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. The day after he gets elected, he announced that I forget the woman's name. Um, but he's
It
like,
was
yeah,
his campaign manager.
yeah, it was his campaign manager. She's going to be my chief of staff. First time ever, right? And then within like 48 hours of him winning the election, um, Putin came out and said that he supports a peaceful end to the war in Ukraine. Um, who was it? Not Saudi Arabia because they're already our friends. Some country in the Middle East
I want
kicked
to say
out
Hamas had something to say.
they kicked out the Hamas leaders. Maybe it was Qatar. So some country
That
in the
sounds
Middle
right.
East
That sounds right.
was harboring Hamas, and they were like, "Yeah, you guys are gonna get the fuck out of this country."
I do like all the memes where it's like almost like for 4 years you had a substitute teacher, or like, um,
It's legit a
or like
substitute
they
teacher.
said it's
Yeah,
like, oh, when the kids have been fucking around when mom's been at home all day and now dad's coming
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Because there was four. I saw four things.
Yeah,
I saw four
there
things. It
were
was
four things.
Putin.
One of them
It
was
was
Putin. It was Hamas. Um,
China. China had something to say.
Yeah, so Xi Jinping came out and said he hopes to work alongside America for a like a fruitful economic partnership moving forward. And then
I don't remember the other
there was
country.
one other thing too. I feel like it was another Middle East thing. Israel? Was it Israel?
I don't know if Israel came out and said
And
anything.
yeah, I don't know. I forget now. I wish I could find it like quickly.
Palestine? Did Palestine say something?
Maybe. I mean, do they even really exist?
Depends on the conversation. Israel is at war with someone.
Yeah, no, that is true. Um,
It have been Palestine, dude. Like Palestine might have said something like, "Yeah, we'll like work for peace and with Israel or something."
yeah.
Seriously though, it's like the kids have been fighting all afternoon and now dad's on his way back.
Yeah, it was. It was Qatar. Qatar notified Hamas officials that are in the country that they're no longer welcome and must make preparations to leave. Yeah, I can't find out what the other ones
Yeah, I
were.
don't know what that fourth one was.
But then the other thing that he came out was Trump mentioned that he wants to push for a constitutional amendment to impose term limits on members of Congress.
Yep.
So, hey, I am all for that, right? That needs to happen. Um, he might actually be able to pull that off now because they got the red wave that they thought they were going to get in 2022. We talked a little bit before about how everything swung towards Trump and men under 30 went, D plus 13 to R plus 15 or whatever. Not only did Trump crush in the presidential election, but they swept the Senate and the House, right? So now the Republicans control the executive branch and the legislative branch. So they have a 53, I think they have a 53 seat lead in the Senate. And I don't know what the final number came out to in the House, but I'm pretty sure they have the advantage in the House as well. Um, the only iffy thing there is I believe for constitutional amendment, you need a 2/3 majority vote. So you would need, it's not just a simple majority. Um, so I don't know. Truthfully, I doubt they'll be able to get an amendment to the Constitution with term limits.
It's
Um,
gonna be hard because the people that vote on it, it negatively affects them.
correct. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. But then Trump also came out and said he wants to ban federal bureaucrats from taking jobs at the companies they deal with and that they regulate, and not like a cooling off period of like you can't work there for 4 years. He's like, if you work for the federal government and you're in the, pharmaceutical industry, that's it. You're never going to go work for a pharmaceutical company. Now they may make some exception. They may say like 10 years or 15 years or something.
Yeah.
Um, but
Or like you can return to a company you previously worked for or something. Like
yeah,
it'll
yeah,
be something like that. Because you can't just tell people like they can't work.
right. Yeah, yeah. But I'm all for that. If you work in the federal
Yep.
government as a regulator for a certain industry, you can't go work for that
Yeah.
company.
You get restrictions coming out like
We
in
see that
the
all the time. The CEO of wasn't the CEO of Pfizer used to work at the FDA or something like that, or vice
I don't top
versa.
of my head, I don't know
I
any of
think whoever
these.
the leader of the FDA used to be a higher up in Pfizer or something like that. There's some sort of incest between the FDA and Pfizer. I know that. So I'm all for that, right? So like we're 4 days in, and technically Trump hasn't even taken office yet.
Oh, not till
Um,
January.
yeah, but we have all this stuff. So I'm all for it. Okay, I got it here. Um, Hamas calls for immediate end to war. That's another thing that in Israel. So Hamas was like, yeah, we should probably stop this war.
Yep. Dad gets home at 5:30.
Yeah. Oh, and the Mexican government was going to send support from their side of the border to stop people from crossing. And the EU, right, the European Union, came out and said they want to start buying American oil instead of buying oil from Russia. This like I just found a tweet right here. So since the Trump landslide, right? This is from I don't know what account it is, but since the Trump landslide, migrant caravan turns around, right? Because the Mexican government provided more support from their side of the border. The European Union pledges to buy American oil instead of Russian oil. Qatar agrees to kick Hamas out of their country. The stock markets go up by over 5%. New York City ends giving food vouchers for illegals, right? They were giving out essentially EBT cards, right? They were giving like debit cards to illegal immigrants to buy food. That's done. That program is done. And then the DOJ cases against Trump fall apart. They just dropped all the cases. They dropped all the charges, like all the Jack Smith, like whatever charges and all that stuff. They were like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Good,
So
get the
that's
house in
wild.
order before we move in.
Yeah. That's pretty wild. That's just all of this shit happens within the first week, right? And I think they've already met with Zelensky. I think Trump sat down with Zelensky, and Elon Musk was with him too. I saw that. I don't know why Musk was there, but um, Trump already met with Zelensky and Elon Musk about ending that too. So this guy is just cleaning house, right? Like you said, it's they they had 4 years of a substitute teacher, and now the real teacher's coming back, and everyone's fucked because they didn't do any work. So let me see. Um, I don't know if we got anything else here. Oh, actually, yeah, yeah, I do. So just a quick little fuck you to YouTube. Um, and again, just to show the bias and the slant that they have. So I don't know I think this is episode 614, and then we did like 10, degenerate specials or gambling only. So we're somewhere around 625 episodes into this podcast. And I know not all 625 have been on YouTube. Um, but a good chunk of them have. I've never once had an issue posting a video to YouTube, right? We've talked about it over the years. We get strikes, or they're like, "Oh, you talked about this during the sandwich conspiracy," right? They thought we were
Yep.
talking some bullshit. Then another thing talking about Ray Lewis, like they thought we were talking about something else, right? So we've had our issues there, but I've never once had an issue uploading a video to YouTube. Well, the second episode that we did last week, where we talked mostly about the 2004 Red Sox documentary, I titled that episode Make Baseball Great Again. And wouldn't you know, I had the hardest time getting it to upload to YouTube. I kept getting error messages, which is also interesting because I did it literally right after the first one. And I was like, oh, error timed out. I'm like, oh, that's strange. I go, all of this because I said make baseball great again? Because it's, again, probably in an algorithm somewhere. It just saw make great again, right? And I hit three out of the four key words. And I was like, oh no, this guy's an asshole. Don't do this. I eventually got it to upload, right? But it took me like 3 times to get it to upload. So once again, fuck you, YouTube.
Nothing to see here.
Yeah. And then the last thing before we wrap it up here, as I talked about before, I was in San Francisco for a few days for work during the election. And I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it, I didn't see anything crazy Tuesday night or Wednesday. So I will say, and I texted the group this. Also, I was literally sitting right next to shit, what's the guy's name? Willie Brown? Um, the old mayor of San Francisco, who was tied to Kamala Harris, who kind of like got her start. I think his name is Willie Brown. I ate lunch next to him on Wednesday before we left, like in the place is called Sam's. It's like a little seafood joint in downtown San Francisco. It's like an older spot. It's kind of reminded me a little bit of Santarpio's, but like a San Francisco seafood version of it. And he has his little table that he sits at in the corner. And we were right next to him. So that was kind of funny. Um, but when we were leaving lunch on Wednesday and we walked from Sam's to back to the hotel, I did notice that there were a couple places that were starting to board up their storefronts. So, first floor glass windows were getting plywood drilled into the front. So I was wondering if someone may have dropped a line somewhere and was like, hey, you may want to board up your windows tonight. But Tuesday night, the actual election night, there was no shenanigans, right? And then I flew out. I had a red eye Wednesday into Thursday morning. So I was at the airport by 7 o'clock, I think, maybe 6:30, 7 o'clock. Um, So I wasn't in downtown San Francisco for if anything happened, right? And I wasn't paying attention to see if it did. But I know Chicago, I saw on Twitter, like kind of fuck shit up over there. They lit some cars on fire and did all that. So I don't know if maybe there was some kind of protest. Maybe it didn't get crazy in San Francisco, but like I said, I did notice um, they were starting to board up windows on Wednesday afternoon. But yeah, so other than that, like I said, San Francisco wasn't crazy. I also feel like I didn't get a true San Francisco experience because I didn't really see many homeless people. I might have saw like one or two. Um, there was the homeless guy outside of the new location that we were trying to buy that I think I sent a Snapchat about that guy. Um, but other than that, like there wasn't a ton. I didn't see any shit on the streets. Um, which again, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you want to look at it. But again, I stayed in the financial district of San Francisco, right? And I didn't meander outside of that area. Um, so I think like when I ever have to go there, like the area I'm in is mostly fine, right? Obviously, it's a major city, right? Anything can happen anywhere in a major city. Like anything can happen in Boston, right? It's just there's a lot of people. Um, but I didn't see any human shit, right? No shit on the sidewalk. And I was looking, right? Trust me, I was looking. Didn't see any crazy homeless people. Um, I didn't really see anything that looked shitty, right? Like I said to the people I was with, I was like, if you told me right now that we were in the financial district in Boston, right, like over by State Street and like Faneuil Hall, like that area, like kind of near Government Center, that whole stretch, I'd have been like, yeah, yeah, it looks just like Boston, right? It looks just like the financial district of Boston. Um, so yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say though about San Francisco that's kind of fucking crazy is there are some insane hills, like massive, like NASCAR bank hills. Like people like watching people walk on the sidewalk up like a NASCAR embankment carrying their groceries is a pretty fucking funny sight to see. Because it is a big walking city, which I don't know why or how, because the hills are so insane. But um, yeah, it's pretty nuts. We drove down that fucking the touristy road, right? The brick road that just kind of weaves back and forth on the way down. That's in like every movie that's shot in San Francisco. It was in Ant-Man. Like they plowed down it in the car in Ant-Man. Um, that was cool, but like I didn't see anything crazy, right? There was nothing where I was like, oh my God, oh, classic San Francisco. Look at that guy shitting in the street. None of that. So I feel like I was deprived of San Francisco. Not that I'm complaining, but
I would say if you really want to find where the action is, you could just try harder next time.
yeah, yeah. So yeah. So I think that's it. Right, you got anything else, or you want to wrap this up?
We can wrap this up.
All right. What do you got?
Um, so my final thought might actually take a second. So this goes back to, or this all begins sometime in October, where my mother, she told me, she goes, oh, the cameras in the cottage went out. So she's got a cottage on the way to the Cape, and she has just like Wi-Fi cameras
Mhm.
in there. And if power goes out or the internet goes out or something, like the cameras go offline, she's got to go back down, kind of reset them, whatever. And they usually just kind of like kick back. So they go out. She heads down there, tries to do like the normal thing, only they're not coming back online this time. So I think that day, and Blink is the camera company that makes them. I think Amazon owns them now or something.
Yeah, I think I've heard of them
Um,
before.
so, you know, calls Comcast and they're like, nope, like internet's good. Calls Blink and they go like, nope, it's the internet. Like you're good here. It's like, okay. So she's like, what do I like do here? It's like the cameras aren't working. They say it's the internet, but the internet works. Okay,
Right,
don't really know what's going on here. So think like right after that, I actually ran by and I went inside and I'm like, well, let me see if the internet like even works. Cause like I don't know if she's using data, but she thinks it's internet. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. But like
right.
let's rule everything out. So I go, hey, what's the Wi-Fi? I go, I'm not seeing it like based on like the router info. She's like, oh, I don't know. I go, you don't know what the Wi-Fi network is. She's like, no. I'm like, you do understand that I can't help you, right? She's like, well, Blink says it's the internet and whatever. I go, Ma, I can't tell you if the internet works
Right,
if you don't know what the fucking network name is.
right, right.
She's like, I don't know. Like, okay. So, I'm like, hey, I'm going to a golf tournament right now. Like, I can't do anything else. Like, I'm leaving. So, still no solution here. She goes again. Calls Comcast. Nope, internet's fine. Blink still like she's like she goes, I'm not calling Blink anymore. They're rude to me because they keep telling her like, hey, it's the internet. Like this is getting all fucked up.
Yeah, yeah.
So at some point she does order a like the cameras have like a little hub thing that needs to be connected to the internet. So it's like, you connect that to the internet, the cameras connect to that, whatever. So
Right,
she buys a new one, goes down, doesn't work. Still the same problem. So now she's like, okay, so it can't be the cameras if the new thing like doesn't connect.
right,
So she goes to an Xfinity store, and the Xfinity store is like, oh well, it could be because we moved you to like a seasonal plan because you're not there. So the modem isn't providing enough gigs for you to connect the cameras to it. She goes, okay, well, take me off the seasonal. She goes, when I went on seasonal, you guys said my cameras would still work. Like
right,
I need those things to kind of like go.
right, right.
And they're like, well, we don't know if we can do it. I go, and now I'm like, because I have to keep listening to this over weeks, right? I'm like, why are we even using this fucking company? Oh, that's right, because there is no fucking alternative here. Like,
Right, right.
obviously. So I'm like, okay. So in the meantime, then she ordered from Ring because maybe Blink just fucking sucks, right?
Right, right.
Goes down, plugs the Ring shit in. So she had returned the Blink thing, got the Ring thing, plugs Ring in, same deal. Won't connect.
Yeah. So it's fucking Comcast.
She goes back to the Xfinity store
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, well, it looks like you're not on seasonal anymore. It could be the modem. I'm like, okay, here we go. I
Yeah.
go, Ma, if you get a new modem, I can do it. I go, fuck Comcast because they're gonna want an appointment, whatever.
Yeah. Just buy your own and
So
hook it up.
she orders a modem. Same one that I just installed here.
Yeah.
Like I know how to do it. It's not that difficult. Netgear is like the esto facto fucking
Right. Right.
modem. So she orders the modem. I go down, or before I even go down, I tell her, I go, hey, so just so you know, there is a possibility. that something is still fucked up here and I can get that modem installed and working, and that's the Wi-Fi, and something still might be wrong. She goes, okay, understood. I go, but no matter what, you can return your Xfinity modem and you'll not pay the 10 buck and $15, whatever it is a month. I don't know.
Right.
So she gets the modem. So I make my way down Saturday. As I'm driving down, rock hits my windshield, almost makes like a bottle cap. Uh, Almost a full, actually, if you look at it, because it's like a tiny little star, it almost looks like the Chinese fucking flag or like the hammer and sickle thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, it almost makes like a perfect circle. So now I got a fucking crack in my windshield. And it didn't
Fantastic.
spider web or anything, so it's just like the 3/4 of a circle, whatever.
Right.
But that's what we're working with. So,
Is it smaller than a nickel?
I would say it's probably the size of a between a quarter and a half dollar.
Okay. All right. So it's too big to buy one of those do-it-yourself patches. You got to get that dish
Yeah, no, I'm
replaced.
just gonna get it replaced at some
Yeah.
point. So I get there. I unplug the Xfinity stuff, plug in the Netgear stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, before I unplugged everything, I got on the internet. We figured out what the network name was. I logged in. Internet works, so I'm on. The cameras don't work. She showed me like her process, whatever. It's just not working. Okay. So unplug Xfinity, plug in the Netgear, and it doesn't connect. I'm like, okay. Call up Comcast. So she calls Comcast, whatever, and they're like, we found your account, da, 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 whatever. There's an outage in your area, so an agent won't be able to help you troubleshoot or
Jesus fucking Christ.
um, help you with anything. And I'm like, I was just on the fucking Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
What are you fucking talking about that there's an outage? I go, you're telling me that I unplugged the modem, instantly there was an outage, and now here we are?
You created it.
Yeah, I did. So, you know, there's like a link to a map. There's no outages on this map.
Yeah, of course not.
Call back.
It's like when someone forgets to change their voicemail when they're out of office.
Yeah. There's an outage in your area. No, there is not.
Yeah.
Try to get to anything. Try to get to billing. Try to just somehow try to get to a human.
Right.
Cannot do it. Like questions about my bill, it's like automated. Oh, we can text you a link. No, stop it. I'm just trying to fucking speak with anyone, anybody.
Right. Right.
Like, not technicals, anyone who I can, any human that I can speak to cannot do it. Like, they just got this thing like set up. Like, there's no way you can get through to a fucking person right now, especially with this outage thing, because like that's the message that keeps popping up. And then like I even called from my phone and put in her account number and her address, all of it. Oh, there's an outage in your area. I'm like, fuck me. And even in the chat, they're like, oh, there's an outage in your area. I go, no, 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 that's the problem. You're
Right.
telling me there's an outage and there is no outage.
Right.
And they're like,
Right.
here's a map. And I'm like, stop showing me the map. I go, my issue is that there is no issue, but you keep telling me there's one. And obviously it's an AI thing. So they're like, I don't quite
Right.
understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, my problem is I need to speak with someone and you won't let me.
I did
Fucking
that
texting.
last week. I have because I got obviously with the new job, I got all new insurance or whatever. And I was trying to log into my new vision insurance and I couldn't do it. So it said like if you have issues, call this number. And it was AI and it just kept like doing the same thing, like
Yeah.
just putting me in circles. So finally it was like, welcome to the main menu. What can like please say what you need? And I go, I want to talk to a human. And then it like finally like brought me through the process. And
Oh,
it
I
turns out
tried.
I was doing the wrong thing, but I needed to use my employee number. I go, since when like would I ever sign up with something for my insurance using my employee ID number? They're like, yeah, it's weird. Because I tried to sign up using my the last four of my social security and it wouldn't work. And they're like, oh yeah, because they tie it to your employee number. And I'm like, oh, that's fucking weird. But anyway, I digress. Back to your final thought.
Anywho, so I had to do a couple other things. um while down there. So, it's like probably 2 hours later after I tried to like get this thing going. I go, Ma, I'm gonna show you like how to do this, right? Because I'm like, this isn't right. Let me just do something stupid. So I plug the Xfinity modem back in. Everything works.
Of
Like I
course.
can connect to the old network, like no problem. Try calling again, try the chat, can't get through. Like just cannot do it. They will not let you, whatever. I'm like, they're telling me there's an outage, yet I'm using their services. So I'm like, I'm very, very fucking confused as to how this fucking works.
Yeah.
So I go, all right, let me show you how to do this. So I plug in the Netgear. I attach the cable to it. I'm like, do you know how to do this stuff? She goes, yeah. I go, okay. I go to your app. I go, yeah. Hit connect. I go, it'll tell us it won't work. Then the screen changes and it says like finishing up. And then it finally connects. I'm like, wow. It was like 2 fucking hours later.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right. I go, Ma, I got the new one in. I go, so take this, return it to fucking Comcast. I go, get the cameras. And then it's like everything ultimately worked. But I'm
Yeah.
like, this was like 3 weeks of like back and forth down there, this, that, the other thing. And like, not for nothing, it's like completely useless companies. Like, no one is any fucking help.
Yep.
And there seriously is no alternative because there is no Verizon in the area.
Right.
AT&T is also a fiber optic thing, so they would have to be in the area. I'm like, what? Maybe Starlink?
I was just gonna say
I was
Starlink
almost
is
ready.
the only option.
I was almost fucking ready to do it. I almost spent 350 on the equipment and just said, "Ma, it's gonna be 120 bucks a year, a month." I go, and you're not getting fucking TV. I'll show you something else. Like, because you're so worried about the fucking TV, and I'm like, you gotta stop.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta watch the news.
Well, that's what she has to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. My mother's the same way.
And then like even then, if she goes, "Oh, I think the TV's on seasonal because I only have the three channels, like 4, 5, 7." I go, "That's only shit we. That's the only reason we have this fucking thing. The only reason we still have cable down here is so you can watch fucking 4, 5, 7, whatever the fuck number you watch. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I was ready to fucking get the Starlink thing. I was gonna do it.
dude, I've heard Starlink is pretty legit.
I have heard that too, but then I also like looked into it and it's like I don't understand how. Like,
There's just millions of satellites everywhere.
yeah, but the speeds are so fucking slow. Like
Yeah.
the mega whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
MGPS.
Yeah. Megabytes per second.
Yeah. So I don't understand how it's so low, but everyone says it's faster.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't either. But like this is not my realm. So like that's what I mean is like I'm not I just don't understand the math.
Yeah.
Like if my Comcast is 800 and they're saying it's like 250, how is 250 faster than 800? That
Yeah.
doesn't check out to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know,
So I
but
say maybe it has to do because it's a satellite and it's not like a wired thing. I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Like no clue, but I was
Because I would
close.
imagine a wire would be faster than a satellite, right? Like usually like a LAN connection is faster than a Wi-Fi connection.
Think I don't know, but I was close, man. I was close to fucking doing it. I don't even know where I would have went. Does Home Depot sell that shit in stock? I don't even know.
I don't even know where you can get. I mean, you probably have to buy it from the website. Is there a starlink.com?
Probably.
Yeah.
Almost did it, but now we're good. So we can move on to I don't know what the fuck other problems she'll have for
Yeah,
me now.
whatever the next issue is going to be.
Yeah, whatever.
That's amazing. 3 weeks and fucking 17,000 phone calls
Yeah, like
later.
25 calls to Comcast, probably only two to Blink.
Yeah, because they were rude. Fuck them.
Well, she was like, well, I guess I see why they were rude because it's like,
Yeah,
she's like, he's probably asking them questions that they can't answer,
right,
like
right.
repetitively. Because she said something too. She was like, um, she goes, oh, but I won't have Wi-Fi here. I go, Ma, the cameras don't work. What do you need Wi-Fi here for? She's like, oh, right. And like she forgot that again. Like, Ma, if the cameras aren't connecting, there's no point of having Wi-Fi here.
Right, right,
So that's why I actually told her, I go, if we can't get these things connected, go just tell Comcast you want to cancel for 6 months.
right,
Like,
right.
I'll come find you in April.
Yeah, yeah. And take whatever monthly you pay in Comcast and have an electrician or a locksmith or whoever would do it come out and hardwire a camera into the panel, like the breaker panel.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done. But it's resolved, so there we are.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you got a resolution. All right. So my final thought is related to my travels. On my way out to San Francisco, um, I sat in the first row behind first class. So I don't know if you've ever flown on like one of those big JetBlue, like, cross country planes.
I
Um,
have.
okay. Well,
I
I
may
mean,
have sat.
obviously I know you've flown to California, but I didn't know what airline you flew on.
I may have sat in front of you too.
So the JetBlue Pantry, then you're familiar with the JetBlue Pantry.
Well, again, I sat in front of you, so I may not have to deal with a pantry.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's
what's the actual
that's
pantry?
that's true. So the pantry is in the little hallway between first class and peasant
Oh yeah,
seats.
as if I would have looked back at people like you.
Yeah. So sitting in the front row, right, of the peasants, I had a clear view to the JetBlue pantry, which on a cross-country flight, right, like the stewards, the stews, right, or whatever you want to call them, they don't go up and down the hallways like the aisle the entire flight because it's a 6 hour fucking flight, right? They do one trip in the beginning with drinks, one trip in the beginning with food, and then they do another trip like at the end, right? But after they do their initial trip, they make an announcement like, oh, the JetBlue pantry is now open. So you can go up and serve yourself or whatever. And I had a fantastic time watching people try and navigate the JetBlue pantry. So again, you're on a plane, right? You're going 700 miles an hour, 30,000 feet in the air. You need to make sure things are secure, right? So there's three drawers, right? It's just up above like a little thing, right? It's a pantry. So there's three drawers, right? And I'm sitting 10 feet or less away from this in my seat because I also have the aisle seat too. So I've got all of the fucking leg room you could ever possibly want. So I can see from my seat that there's little signs on each of the drawers that say push, right? So I know it's counterintuitive to have to push a drawer, but the reason they do that is because they click, right? It's one of those things you push in to click and it locks it in place so that when there's turbulence, shit doesn't go flying everywhere, right? Drawers don't go flying out and stuff like that. So you have to push it in to release it, and then the drawer will roll out.
This
Jump
is clearly labeled, yes.
They're very clearly labeled.
Okay.
There's one label on each drawer, and there's three drawers. So there's three opportunities to see the word push. How many people do you think just fucking just tried like pulling it, wiggling it, doing whatever? Eventually, some people just like stuck their arm in between the drawers to try and grab something, or they're like trying to peer in and look and see what they can grab. And I'm like, holy shit, these people are fucking retarded. Right? Like, people are stupid. And then so the it's a side by side, right? So it's the three drawers are on one side, and then right next to it is like it's a mini fridge, right? That's all it is, but it's got a glass front, and it has a push to click like handle. So you have to push in one side of it to like open it up, and then you just pull it open. However, there's also a latch above it. Again, we're on an airplane, right? Moving 700 miles an hour, 30,000 feet in the sky. There's a lot of turbulence sometimes, right? I didn't have any this time, but turbulence is a real thing on planes, right? You got to make sure shit is secure. The amount of people that I also saw that couldn't figure out how to open the mini fridge because they didn't open the latch on the top. Like it took people, it was
Was the
pretty
latch
easy.
was the latch obvious?
The latch was red. So the fridge itself was stainless steel. The front of it was glass, right? So you could see into it and see what was there. All Pepsi products, by the way. Shout out to Pepsi. Go Vinny. Um, and the latch on the top was red. It was like a bright red, like the color of your headphones, like the circle on your headphone. And it's just like a little thing that swivels, right, from down to up. That's it. That's all you do. You got to swivel it up, and then you push and pull, and you open the thing. People couldn't figure out how to do it. I saw one person just gave up. They were like trying to figure out how to get a drink, and they just couldn't get a drink. So they grabbed like a bag of pretzels and went back to their seat.
Wait, the 180.
Yeah.
I'm thirsty. I'll get pretzels.
Yeah. So I had a really great seat for the 6 hour flight out to San Francisco. Just people watching, like watching people be so dumb. And then one of the things I was thinking, right, being, the day before the election, I go, all of these people are allowed to vote.
Yep.
These are the people that are allowed to vote. They can't figure out how to use how to function the JetBlue Pantry. And yeah, so pretty good, pretty funny. I thought about trying to weasel my way into first class because I was right there. Because there was a bunch of open seats in first class, but I was like, I don't care. I have, again, probably the most legroom of anywhere in the peasant class that you could have, other than the aisle seat to the right of me. Um, and I was like, yeah, whatever, don't care. And I was enjoying watching people
I
fuck
will
up the
say
JetBlue Pantry.
one day, not for work, like on a trip that you're like looking forward to, treat yourself to first class sometime.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well,
You make
Amy
a
and I said that, like, if we go back to Hawaii, like we would first fly direct and then try and fly first class. Like, if I'm going to be on a plane for 12 hours, like
Here's my
I'm
thing.
going to be in first
Put
class.
you know how like like do you guys have what is it, a 529? Is the kids college fund
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
something?
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have one?
No.
Okay. Create one, but don't give anything to your child. Strictly have it be a savings account for two first class tickets to whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Well, then would defeat the purpose because then you have to pay taxes on it.
No, dude, it's so that you have the money to pull the trigger when you want to. Okay, wait, so
Yeah, but if
what
you
I'm getting
use the
at,
money in a 529 for anything that's not education related, you have to pay taxes on it.
yeah, I said like like a 529, not
Oh, yeah,
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
529, like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
529.
okay. All right, all right.
Yeah, so you
I
just
was gonna say I
contribute
would
to
just
it.
open up a savings account, a separate
That's what I
savings
mean.
account.
Yeah, no, I'm not. No, like a.
Yeah. This is not financial advice.
It's, well, actually, this is financial advice. If you want to fly first class somewhere, because like you're not going anytime soon, the kid's too young. So it's
Right.
like whether he needs to stay somewhere like with someone or needs to go with you, which will fuck.
Yeah.
Um, he's not ready yet, obviously,
Right.
because he's too
Right.
young for someone to watch him for a fucking week or week and a half.
Yeah.
And he's not old enough to go with you, which again, I don't know why the fuck you do that. So I don't know how many years you're looking at, but Yeah, I mean, you could
I
probably
mean,
get,
the amount of JetBlue points that I have on my card right now would pay for one first class flight. I already looked it up
I was gonna say, because
because
you're
we
gonna
just
need
haven't gone
about
anywhere for the, so
10 grand,
we
a little
haven't
less.
we haven't done like we haven't gone away for like a guys weekend or the Patriots games or anything because they suck, right? So I haven't flown anywhere personally in probably at least a year and a
Charleston.
half, if not 2 years. Oh yeah, Charleston. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Um,
The Charleston flight, I think I used points. It wasn't too bad.
yeah, I think I probably use points then too. Because anytime I fly, like I'll like for personal, I'll just use points. I mean, I'm not gonna pay
Yeah.
for a fucking. I'll pay the $11 that you have to pay for taxes.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
say, I think I paid for Augusta because the other so sometimes I do decide to pay depend because well you're not flying anywhere right now, but like I knew I had two flights in the year
yeah,
and I could probably not do both on points this year.
yeah,
So sometimes you got to make a call like
yeah.
and it was like the Augusta flight like the points didn't make sense like because everyone's like, oh well, it's like 1 point is $1. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like
No,
if you
it's not.
actually like try to do that,
It's 15 cents. So every point is worth 15 cents.
I don't think it is on everything because it depends on what you want to do. Like because they jack it up for popular flights or popular time. Like it's not like a one for one
Yeah,
because there's been times where it's like, I think flying to Austin when we flew that year, it was something like 20,000 points, right?
yeah.
20,000 points implies
I don't know,
under that
whatever
logic, what
times
what what does
15
that
cents.
imply?
I need my quackalator. Um, 20,000 times 15 cents. Yeah, that's $3,000. That doesn't make sense.
No, that doesn't make sense. So that math doesn't actually even work. Anyway, but like, yeah, the flight's like round trip was like under $400, right?
Yeah,
So under $400, and it was like I think it was 18. It was 18,000 points. But then to go to Nashville later that year, I think the flights were like 800 round trip because I looked early and then they fucking went crazy, so we didn't even fly JetBlue.
yeah,
But it was something like almost 60,000 points, which if it was dollar for dollar, a $400 flight at 18, double that, 800 should only be like 36.
right.
But it was like way, 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 way more than that. So yeah, there are times where it's like if I look at it and I go, the proportion's wrong, in my opinion. Um,
Oh, it's 1.5 cents. I had the decimal place wrong. Apparently, this is according to nerdwallet.com. JetBlue True Blue points have a value of 1.5 cents each. So 1 point is worth $1.50.
okay, so on that 20,000 point, that's like a $300 flight. Like that might have like that's probably close, right? I think I still got a deal. Like I don't think I paid 1.5 cents.
Yeah.
Because I want to say it was 18. I want to say the round trip was like just under 400. But then it was like for Nashville, um, it was something like one of the flights was 40,000. The other was going to be,
Yeah, that checks out. So if you do 20,000 times 1.5, that's 30,000 cents, right?
yeah,
Divided
it's
by
300.
100 gives you
It's 300
300
bucks.
$300.
So,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is like I'm saying on that flight specifically, this is why I think I don't know if there was like a deal or something. I think it was technically 18 and change, and I think the flight was actually a little bit more than 300 bucks.
Yeah.
So but then whatever the fuck was happening with Nashville that time, it's like one of the flights was like 41,000.
Well, I think that's just airplane price gouging. Like
Correct.
that happens with normal dollar values.
Correct. So that's all I'm saying is when
Yeah.
like sometimes I don't use points because it looks like the point value is off
Yeah.
comparatively. Now, I guess I could just divide them by each other.
Yeah.
and find out what my rate is and then like have a rate that I'm saying like yes to or no to.
Right. Right.
Like, say I looked up Naples for like February and they want, 75,000 to go. But if I say 75,000 and I look it up and that's like $800 in flights, I don't know if that math, I don't know. I have to like figure it out. I'm not that good at math to do it that fast in my head.
Yeah. 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 I know what you mean though.
But yeah, so it's like figuring that stuff out. But yes,
Yeah.
put your schmeckles away and definitely fly first class at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I for sure will. But it's got to also be like a long flight, right? I'm not going to fly first class to
No,
like
I would
fucking
say
Philly. Like
if
they
you're gonna,
also don't even offer first
they don't
class
offer it,
flights.
but like they offer it to like Dallas. I'm like,
Yeah. I wonder
you
what
don't need a
is the cutoff 4 hours or five
no. So
hours?
it's by airline. So
Okay.
JetBlue from Boston only does mint service to like Dallas, Vegas. I don't think Denver,
Yeah.
San Francisco, LA, maybe San Diego, probably Seattle.
Yeah.
So like definitely West Coast. Um, I don't know if they even offer it to Scottsdale.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, that's right. They listed on the app. You can look like they have the little green
yeah.
mint leaf next to it
Yeah,
when
you can
they
look it up.
yeah.
I just
Yeah.
haven't.
Yeah. So the cool thing too about my work is obviously like they pay for the flights. Like I put it on my corporate card. But I tie it to my personal JetBlue account. So my
Yep.
work pays for the flights and I get the fly points.
Yes. But you don't get, yeah, but you don't get the credit card. Like, how like sometimes it says like up to 6x. And it's like you get 3x for taking the flight, but you don't get it for,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, okay.
yeah. Yeah. So if I like on Thursday I have to go to Philadelphia. I'm
First
just
class.
going yeah, I'm just going for the day. Like I fly down at 7 a.m. and I come back at like 3 o'clock. Um, and like if it's like, whatever, it's like $250 round trip. Like I get, whatever that is, 750 points,
Yeah.
right? But my work pays the $250 and I get
Yep.
the 750 points to my JetBlue account. So it's a nice little system.
Yeah, I think that's because like people I've never worked corporate. So I guess when everyone's like, oh, I got all these miles and all this shit and all this, that, the other thing, I assume that's exactly how it works for everyone, right? Like anyone who travels
Yeah,
for work. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. If you have an account, you just use that
Yeah, like,
and the
yeah.
company pays for it. Because we use like a third party system called Concur. It's just like an expense tracking app system, right? It's like a QuickBooks for people, basically. Um, so you just tie in, like I type in my company card, right, information, but then I also add in my JetBlue account number. And then anytime I book a JetBlue flight, it automatically links it. So I automatically also get, because I have Mosaic, um, I get free upgrade to like even more space and all that. So like when I click the seat, like I get a notice from Concur that says like this might cost more. Please check with your airline to see if you qualify for not getting charged more for this or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get fucking charged more. Like just give me the fucking seat. I'm a Mosaic bitch, all right. So yeah. All right. That's gonna do it. So thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, hit the thumbs up down below, hit subscribe up above. If you're an audio only guy, subscribe as well. If you use Spotify or iTunes, subscribe, rate, and review over there. That would be super appreciated. You can get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod, Twitter Sarcasm_speaks, Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks, website is sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes below, support the sponsors, support the show. And until next time, good night, everybody.